Some legends are just simple, cautionary tales. Others, they're born from real tragedy. Today, we're diving into a story that's a bit of both. We're talking about the chilling folklore of Munjia, the spider-fingered spirit.
So let's just start with this question right here. What has fingers like a spider? Just think about that for a second. It's a pretty unsettling image, right? And that single creepy idea is at the very heart of the legend we're about to unpack. All right, so let's get right to it. What exactly is this entity? Let's uncover this chilling piece of folklore and get a clear picture of the spirit behind that very strange name. Okay, so the Munjia, it's a really specific type of restless spirit. Its whole identity, its whole reason for being is tied to two major things. First, those super unnerving spider-like fingers, and second, a deep connection to unfinished life rituals. So you see, this isn't just some random ghost story. It's the direct result of a life that was cut short, tragically interrupted. Every good legend has an origin story, right? Well, the Munjia's it's a particularly tragic one. If we really want to understand this spirit, we have to look at the haunting process that actually creates it. Where do legends like this even come from?
So according to the folklore, it's this tragic three-step process. First, it all starts with an untimely death. Usually a young person, someone who dies right before a huge life ceremony. Then, that tragedy is made even worse by a broken ritual. The traditional rites that are supposed to guide the spirit peacefully on its way, they get messed up or interrupted, and the result of all that? A soul that can't move on. It gets trapped and it transforms into something else entirely. It becomes a Munjia.
And that right there, that's the real tragedy of the Munjia. This spirit isn't born from some kind of pure evil. It's born from loss, from incompletion. It's basically just a shadow of its former self, and it's forever stuck, searching for a resolution that it can just never find.
Okay, so we know where it comes from, but what does it look and sound like? What would you actually encounter if you came face to face with one? Well, the folklore is incredibly specific about what that whole experience is like.
When you profile the spirit, it's like a full-on sensory assault. What you see is this tall, shadowy figure that moves way too fast. And its most prominent feature? Oh yeah, those elongated, multi-jointed fingers. But what you hear? That's just as terrifying. A faint, dry, skittering sound, kind of like insects crawling on leaves. And sometimes, you might hear a soft whisper that mimics a familiar voice. Talk about a cruel trick, right? It's designed to make you lower your guard.
And believe me, this is not a passive ghost. It has supernatural abilities that make it a real threat. It can blend seamlessly into shadows. It can mimic the voices of your loved ones to try and lure you closer. It moves with this incredible silent speed. And maybe the most chilling part? Its touch isn't supposed to hurt you physically. No, it's said to drain your warmth and your courage. Just gone. Listen to this account from some local folklore archives. It just perfectly captures the feel of an encounter. It says, "You don't see it until it's too late. You just feel the cold, and then you notice the hands. Hands that aren't right, with fingers that go on forever." Wow. See? It's not about a jump scare. It's a slow burn kind of horror. It starts with a feeling, that sudden cold, and then you see those impossible hands. What a powerful, chilling image.
So, like any good spooky story, the legend of the Munjia comes with a sort of user manual, a set of tales and warnings, basically. A guide on how to survive an encounter that's been passed down for generations.
And this is really the key takeaway from the stories. Encountering a Munjia is a test of your will and your knowledge. You don't fight it with brute strength, nope. You survive by knowing the rules. It's a battle of wits and willpower against something truly supernatural.
Okay, so let's break down these rules of survival. They follow a really clear pattern. On the do side, it's all about control and protection. Stay in a well-lit area. Acknowledge its presence calmly. No freaking out. Keep moving. Don't stay still. And wear a piece of iron for protection. Now the don'ts. These are all about not giving the spirit power over you. Don't look directly at its hands. Do not show fear or panic. And whatever you do, don't answer if it calls your name, and for sure don't follow it into the darkness.
So, all of this brings us to a much bigger question. Why do these stories endure? A story this specific, with such clear rules, it doesn't just stick around by accident. It has to serve some kind of purpose. So what is the Munjia's legacy? Why does this legend persist? Well, if you look at its role in the culture, it's actually doing a lot of things at once. About half of its job is being a cautionary tale. But a good chunk, 30%, is just being a boogeyman to scare kids into behaving. Then you have 15% where it's an explanation for the unseen, things that go bump in the night. And a small piece is just its role as a cool local legend. So it's a real multi-purpose story.
But when you boil it all down, at its core, the Munjia is really a story about the importance of tradition and the fear of the incomplete. That's why it's a cautionary tale. It reinforces why community rituals and traditions matter so much. It's a warning against cutting corners with those sacred rites that guide us through life and, well, death. The Munjia is the terrifying consequence of something left unfinished.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Is this just a local legend, spooky story to tell around the campfire, or is it something more? A timeless warning about our universal need for closure, for ritual, and our deep-seated, very human fear of a life left unfinished.